Let me tell you something, when you reach a certain age, you don't owe explanations to nobody. You don't have to prove nothing to nobody. You have spent years working, sacrificing, raising kids, helping family, being there for everybody else. But now is your time. When you reach a certain stage in life, you have to realize that your time is now. You spent years putting others first, your children, your spouse, your job, your family, even friends who needed you. You've been the one people turned to, the one who made sacrifices, the one who stayed up late worrying about everybody else's problems. You've carried responsibilities on your back, and you did it because that's who you are. You did it because you love hard, you care deeply, and you take pride in being dependable. But now it's different. Now it's your time, not in a selfish way, but in a necessary way. But because the truth is, if you don't start prioritizing yourself, no one else will. The people who always depended on you will keep depending on you. The people who always called on you will keep calling. And if you're not careful, you'll look up and realize that you've given away all your time, energy, and peace and left nothing for yourself. You have to understand that life moves in seasons. There was a time when you had to grind, hustle, and push through. There was a time when you had to work extra hours, take care of a household, and make sure everybody else was straight. That was a necessary season, but seasons change. Just like you don't see trees trying to hold on to old leaves, you can't hold on to an old mindset. The time of constantly putting yourself last is over. Now is the time for you to do what makes you happy. Maybe that means traveling to places you always dreamed of. Maybe that means sitting on your porch with a cup of coffee in the morning and not worrying about a thing. Maybe it means picking up an old hobby, starting a business, or just having the freedom to wake up and do absolutely nothing. Whatever it is, you deserve it. Too often people get older and think their best years are behind them. That's a lie. Your best years are the ones where you are finally free to live on your own terms. You don't have to explain yourself to anybody. You don't have to ask for permission to enjoy your life. You don't have to keep playing the role of fixer, savior, or problem solver for people who should have figured it out by now. If you don't make yourself a priority now, when will you? You've done enough for others. You've carried enough weight. You've proven yourself time and time again. You don't have to keep running yourself into the ground to be valuable. Your value is not in how much you do for others, it's in who you are. And who you are is someone who has earned the right to slow down, to breathe, to enjoy, to live without guilt. Silence is power. Not everyone understands this because we live in a world where people think the loudest person in the room is the strongest. They believe that speaking up, clapping back, and constantly proving a point is what makes them respected. But real power doesn't come from noise, it comes from control. It comes from knowing when to speak and when to hold back. There was a time in life when you had to defend yourself, when you had to explain, when you had to make sure people understood where you were coming from. But as you get older, you start to realize that not everything needs a response. Not every argument needs to be won. Not every situation requires your energy. Silence is a skill, and when you master it, you protect your peace. People will bait you into conversations that don't serve you. They'll try to get a reaction, hoping to pull you into negativity, drama, or unnecessary debates. But when you choose silence, you take away their power. You don't give them access to your emotions. You don't allow them to disturb your spirit. You learn to observe, to listen, to understand what's really happening beneath the surface. Because the truth is, most people don't want to hear you, they just want to argue. They want to pull you into their mess so they can feel important. But silence, that frustrates them, it keeps them guessing. It forces them to deal with themselves. There's a difference between being silent out of fear and being silent out of wisdom. Some people stay quiet because they don't know what to say. But the wise stay quiet because they know saying too much isn't necessary. When you hold your peace, you can see situations more clearly. You're not reacting from emotion, you're responding with intelligence. You learn to let people think what they want, because at the end of the day, Their opinions don't pay your bills, don't change your reality, and don't define who you are. As you get older, you start to notice how much energy gets wasted on meaningless conversations. You see how people go back and forth over things that won't matter in a week, a month, or a year? You understand that peace is worth more than proving a point. And the more you embrace silence, the more you gain control over your own life. You also begin to notice that silence reveals the truth. When you stop explaining yourself, you see who really understands you. When you stop responding to negativity, you see who respects you. When you stop trying to force connections, you see who values your presence without needing constant validation. There is power in walking away. There is power in letting people think what they want. There is power in choosing not to engage. Protecting your peace is one of the most valuable things you can do as you get older. Life has a way of teaching you that not everything is worth your time, your energy, or your emotion. When you were younger, you might have felt the need to be involved in everything, to fix problems, to be there for everyone, to carry the weight of situations that weren't even yours to carry. But as time passes, you start to understand that peace is not something you stumble upon, it's something you create and protect. One of the biggest threats to your peace is unnecessary drama. It doesn't matter where it comes from. Family, friends, co-workers, or even people online. Some people thrive on chaos. They live for gossip, for arguments, for stirring the pot just to see what happens. And if you're not careful, they will pull you right into their mess, draining you of the energy you should be using to enjoy your own life. The key is recognizing that not every invitation to drama needs a response. You don't have to engage, you don't have to defend yourself, and you don't have to explain your choices to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. Another way to protect your peace is by setting boundaries. This means learning to say no without feeling guilty. It means understanding that just because you love people doesn't mean you have to tolerate their negativity. Some people will take as much as you give, and if you don't set limits, they will leave you emotionally exhausted. Boundaries are not about shutting people out. They are about keeping yourself intact. When you set clear boundaries, you are letting people know what you will and will not accept in your life. And the right people will respect that, while the wrong people will try to guilt trip you into doing what benefits them. Your peace is also protected by choosing where you place your focus. If you spend all your time worrying about things you can't control, you will constantly feel overwhelmed. If you allow the news, social media, or negative conversations to dictate your mood, you will always be on edge. But when you make a conscious effort to focus on the good in your life, to appreciate the small moments, to surround yourself with positivity, you create a space where peace can grow. Letting go of grudges is another way to protect your peace. Carrying anger and resentment only hurts you in the long run. People will disappoint you, they will hurt you, and they may never apologize for it. But holding on to that negativity does nothing but keep you stuck. Forgiveness isn't about them, it's about freeing yourself. It's about choosing to move forward instead of being weighed down by the past. When you stop giving your energy to things that don't serve you, you make room for the things that do. Peace is a choice, and the more you choose it, the more you realize how much better life feels without unnecessary burdens. Stop seeking approval. One of the biggest mistakes people make is spending their lives trying to please others.